Hi honeys, welcome back to another episode of Good Old Do It For You. So when you guys hear this, I will be in my bachelorette hen do with my ghettos. So I thought it was only appropriate. Don't mind my dog, literally just throwing her bone on my laptop. 1 second. I don't even know if you guys heard that, but this is the problem of recording with dogs when I'm home alone. Anyways. I can't with her. But I just wanted to kind of talk about like wedding stuff, since that's what I'll be out doing, wedding things right now when you guys listen to this, which I am so excited for the Bachelorette. I told you guys that before. We are definitely going to do a debrief when I come back. Amazing. Anyways, to the point of today's topic. I kind of wanted to talk about like experiences that happen when you're planning a wedding. So like mostly for females, like the bride, because let's be honest, the grooms, they don't do anything. I love you, sweetheart, I love you so much, but like you don't have to deal with like the struggles. And it kind of goes hand in hand with my episode from last week, like the struggles or the things that like women have to do for a wedding is just like astronomical compared to men. Like if you ever want to not be stressed about a wedding, be a groom. Like that is literally a standing joke. So it's literally up to the women, and I get that. Like the ghettos are the ones that plan their wedding since they're little, and they have all of those dreams. And men, they just don't care. They're just like, oh yeah, let's get married. But like in my case, Matthew actually does care a lot about the wedding, but he's still just like, I don't know. Maybe it's my type A personality, but like I need to get it sorted. So, anyways, one of the things I wanted to talk about was the whole wedding dress process. And honestly, this conversation came up with my best friend from back home, Rachel. Love you. Shout out to you. I am trying to figure out how to do a podcast with her, guys. Don't worry, I'm trying. If anyone has any tips on how to do that, please send them in. But she was talking to me. She is getting married in 2025. And she was asking, she's like, I just have like a couple questions. Do you have any advice on wedding dress shopping? And I'm like, well, like, what kind of advice? Like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, I'm just stressed. Like, I just don't think things are going to go well. I just don't know what to expect. And it's like, that's so real, because you don't know what to expect when you go wedding dress shopping. Like, what you're going to pick out a white dress. Like, what, like you don't have any expectations, or you don't have any idea of what it's going to be like, or the whole process. So I was telling her all about like mine, and I was like, you know what, I feel like this isn't spoke about enough, because I was telling her realistically it is not like the movies. And I've said that a million times, and I'll say it again, because they lie in the movies. And I have been showing Matthew a bunch of bride movies, like Bride Wars, 27 Dresses, Bridesmaids, like Father of the Bride. Like, we are going through it, and I'm like, I just want you to know that nothing I did was like that, like at all. No, and Bridesmaids, they did have a little bit of a catastrophe when they picked out dresses, but so let's just see, what were we saying? So one of the biggest things that my older sister told me when I was planning this wedding, Lauren, when she was doing her wedding, she messaged me because she got married last October, and she said, enjoy every moment of it. And I was like, Lauren, that's not realistic. How do you enjoy every moment? I am freaking stressed. And then I found myself giving Rachel that advice for her dress. But it was more so in the fact of like, you're only going to get to find your wedding dress one time. Just like, yes, I know when Lauren gave me her advice, I was only going to plan a wedding one time, but that was a whole other conversation. But for Rachel, I was saying like, really try to soak in the day that you're there, because sometimes you find your dress in one day and that's it, done. Now, sometimes you don't, and that is something that she was saying that she was a little worried about. And it's like, it's just such a process. So like when I picked out my dress, I had to pick mine out a year in advance, because you have to order wedding dresses, and over here they can take 6 to 9 months to come in. Well, in the UK, she was told it's going to take over maybe a year or longer. Her wedding is 2025, and so she's having to look at dresses now, because, well, if she doesn't look at them now and it's later than a year, her dress isn't going to show up. And like, what is she supposed to do? So she's like, I'm just unsure. And I was like, I get that. One of the things though that I bought my dress a year in advance, because I had to order my dress and it didn't come in for 6 months. But I still love my dress. Like, I put it on and I'm instantly just happy. Like, I hadn't put it on, obviously, so I bought it in November, and then I didn't see it again until the late April when it came in, and I went and tried it on, and I was like, yes, 100%. Then about 2 months ago, I put it on again because I had gotten like veils and stuff to try with it, and so I was doing that, and I was instantly happy again. So I'm like, okay, I still love this dress, which is good because I was a little scared about it. But when I went to pick out my dress, so I picked mine out in November, I only booked one shop. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the experience was going to be like at all. So I booked one shop. Me, my bridesmaids, and my mom and my mother-in-law all went to the shop. I think we had like just over an hour. You have like a reserved time slot, which I didn't know this either. You don't just like walk into the stores, like you, unless it's like a big corporate or like chain, I think you can walk into. But if you pick like a smaller one that's just like local to your area, you usually have to book an appointment. So I booked an appointment. I paid a deposit, and then I got there. She was like, oh, can you show me if you have any inspiration photos for your dress? Like, what are your, from Pinterest or anything, like, what are your ideas? And I was like, okay. I booked the appointment. We all went down. We got there. Everything was great. We go in. I show her she asked for like 5 or 6. So I showed her 5 or 6 different styles that I really loved. She went and like picked them all off the rack of ones that they had that were similar, put them in the changing rooms for me, and then she was like, I'm gonna grab you an off the wall curve ball dress that is nothing like anything you've picked. It's completely different, because just to try it. And she was saying a lot of the times that the kiddos will pick that, and I'd heard that a lot, that if you pick a lot of times when you have an idea of what you want for your dress, it's never what you end up with. I'd heard that so many times, so I was like kind of sad, because obviously I loved the dress style that I had picked out, and I was like, okay, like whatever. So like I go, first dress I tried on, that was my dress. But so I tried it on, and it was beautiful. I loved every second of it. I was like, oh my god, she's stunning, like love her. And I felt wonderful. I felt beautiful. I felt like a princess. I felt all the things you should feel, when you put a dress on. So then we took her off. I tried on another 4 or 5 dresses. I loved almost all of them, actually. There were a couple that I was like, maybe not. But none of them, like, they didn't do it. Like, I didn't get the right, I don't know, like, they were pretty, and don't get me wrong, I did love them, but it just was like, it was different. Like, some of them, like, I would put them on, and I was constantly thinking of the first one, and I would compare, and I'm like, I don't know, like, oh, this one, like, it could have this better, or it's just not the right, like, it was just always something, whereas the first one, there was nothing wrong with it that I could see. So then we get through, I try on the curveball dress, and I hated the curveball dress. Like, oh my god, I felt so, like, it just was not the right style for my body, and it didn't fit me well at all. And it was also very just like, I felt like I couldn't do much. I don't know, I don't want to say too much without giving away my wedding dress style, obviously, but it was just very not it. I literally had the curveball dress on for I think about 5 seconds, then I took it off. Bless you. So then the lady Victoria at the store, she was like, do you want to put on the first one again? Because I was still very like, I don't know. And so I was like, okay, fine. So I put on the first one again. And I stood and stared in the mirror for about 15 minutes in this dress. Just like, okay. And it's not like the movies where you put the dress on and everyone's like, oh my god, you're so beautiful, and everyone's crying and the tissues are flowing and you're emotional. Like, I mean, maybe it is for some people, but it wasn't like that for me at all. And so then I had the dress on, and she was like, I feel like you really like this dress, you've been in it for like half an hour. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, what are we thinking? Do you want to try a veil with it, or do you not like it? Do you want to take it off? And everybody that I had with me was like, Ashley, you don't have to get one today, like, don't feel pressured. And I was like, no, I know, but I really love this dress. So we put the veil on, and I was like, okay, yeah. And I was just like happy and smiling. I wasn't really saying much, and everyone kept like trying to pry out of me, and they're like, are we saying yes to the dress? And I was like, yeah, like, I guess. Like, it's not I don't know. I just feel like it's not like the movies where you put it on and they're like, oh my god, like like it's, I don't know. It's just not, that wasn't the experience for me. And so I got my dress, you know, picked it out, paid for it, ordered it. They gave me the nice bottle of champagne. We took photos, like we did all the things. And it was a very nice day. We went across the street and we got lunch at this restaurant and we all had cocktails and we just had so much fun. But I was like, it's nothing like the movies. And so when Rachel was asking me, I was like, let me just tell you about my experience. And I told her and she's like, oh, okay. And she was like, I'm not a very like emotional, teary-eyed person, so I was wondering if like if it doesn't make me cry, is that not the right dress? And I'm like, no, like as long as you know in your heart and in your gut, like you'll know when you put it on. And I know that's hard to explain and people are always like, wait, like it's kind of like when you're like getting married and they're like, how did you know? And it's like, you know when you know. But you do. You put it on and it does something. Like you do honestly feel like a princess and you just feel like the most beautiful ever. And that's how you know. I don't know. That's how I can describe it. But don't feel pressured into like having to find your dress as the first one. I will say that. I do not regret picking, like, I don't regret not shopping around. Like, some people have asked me, like, did you wish you had went to different stores after you looked at those and then went back? And I'm like, no, because I'm a very indecisive person and I feel like that would have given me too many options. I'm very happy with my dress and I love my dress so much. I think it's everything I've ever envisioned for myself for my wedding. I don't think anybody else expected it from me, which I think is kind of funny. But if you shop around also, it doesn't mean that, like, it doesn't mean anything. Like, if you have to shop around to find your dress, okay. If you can find it on the first try, okay. Like, there's no rules. There's nothing bad that happens if you don't find the one on the first try. If you have to go to 7 stores, if you have to go to 14 stores, like, it doesn't matter. And that's what Rachel was asking. She's like, oh, well, I've booked 2 shops to go look at dresses. And I'm like, that's okay. That's normal. Most people shop around. Like, and it's sometimes people shop around, sometimes people don't. Like, it literally depends on the person. And if you are dead set on a dress or a specific style and you can't find it, or just whatever, like, it's your day, it's your dress, and it's however you want to handle it. It is literally just that. Like, it's not this big ordeal that has to be, like, strung out and dramatic and emotional. And, like, if that's you and you have weddings like that and you cried, okay, that's fantastic if that's the kind of person you are. But I just want to normalize the fact that, like, you don't have to cry or be all emotionally sad or happy when you pick out your wedding dress. Like, if you're just like, no, this is the one, that's it, and that's exactly how you said it, that's still okay. If you're like me, who was like, yeah, like, I guess, like, it's awkward as well because, like, the way they had it set up for my wedding dress was they kind of made me like an aisle to the mirror, and I had like 3 people were sitting right here, and like 3, 4, I think I had 6 people, so it was like 3 and 3, the way they were sitting, like, kind of like angled like this, like on the side. And I was like walking down the middle to the mirror, so every time I came out of the dressing room, they were all right there. You know, everyone's just sitting like gawking at you. Well, because, you know, you're there to get your wedding dress. And not everyone gave a lot of opinions when I picked out my wedding dress, and I kind of wanted their opinions, but everyone just kept saying, like, well, it's your dress, what do you think? And I'm like, I know, but, like, do you guys think this one fits me well? You know, everyone looks at it differently. So I was like, I kind of want your guys' input. And, like, later, but then when I put on the dress that I actually picked, then I'd said yes, and I was like, okay, now that I've picked it, what do we think? I need feedback, people. And everyone was like, no, you look stunning, like, it's beautiful, it's perfect, it fits you so well, like, was made for you, like, all of this stuff. And I was like, okay, we do like this dress. And it's like, not that I need their validation, but, like, I brought you guys because I wanted your opinions and I wanted you guys to experience this with me. And my Lauren, she was like, I couldn't say anything, I was gonna cry. I was like, okay, that's fair. So then later at lunch, we got, like, the debrief of, like, everyone's opinions on the dresses and this and that, and they're like, yeah, no, that one for sure, that one was pretty, but it didn't fit you perfectly and you didn't love it and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, yeah. Also, the clips that they have, like, at the bridal store, those things do wonders. Like, they just pull you right in. I was like, whoa. Like, they put one on me and I was like, this is not, like, this is horrible. It had, like, spaghetti straps, and it was just, like, hanging like a bag of washing. And I was just like, this is not cute. And then the lady came in, Victoria, she was like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah. She came in, and she, like, tightened me in, and I was like, alrighty then. I was like, okay, we're good to go now. And it changed the whole look, and I was like, oh my god, this dress is stunning. There was another one I tried on that was like, what was that one? What was the one I tried on? Oh, I tried on this strapless one, and obviously I was like, I don't really have big tatas. This is not gonna work. Like, how did these people stop them from falling down? And like, Lauren had a strapless dress at her wedding, and I was like, how did it, like, I always felt like when you wear strapless dresses, you're constantly pulling them up and pulling them up and pulling them up. And so I was like, I don't even want to try on a strapless dress. But she had me just try on like a couple actually, and I tried it on, and I was like holding it, and she came in, she sipped me all in, and I was like, oh, and it like held on pretty well. And I was like, oh, but if I did get a strapless dress, we're gonna need those clips at the wedding. Like, it didn't move, and I was like messing around. So it's just kind of funny how you think wedding dresses fit until you actually go put a wedding dress on. I don't know, the whole experience is just, it's a good experience, but like I said, that's something that a man doesn't really experience. Like, a man walks into, like, Matthew walked into Men's Warehouse and was like, I want this kind of suit, I want this colour, I want this, and this. Yep, I have shoes, I have this. And then she's like, rent or buy? And he was like, well, let's look at pricing. And it wasn't that much more to buy. And he's like, I think I'll buy it since it's my wedding tux, and, you know, I'm going to keep it, and that way I have a tux because he doesn't currently have one. And she's like, okay, tried it on, got fitted, needed some alterations, done, shipped here in like 2 weeks. And I'm like, what the fuck? We're over here waiting years on dresses? A whole year? That's not including alterations, might I add. Like, I waited 6 months and my dress has to get altered. Like, I'm getting it altered tomorrow, which, if you guys are listening, it was last Saturday. But, like, what? Like, you're telling me they altered it, got your colour, got everything, and sent it to you in 2 weeks, and I'm over here waiting like 6 months to a year for my dress to even show up. Then I have to take it to get alterated. Then I have to take it to get alterations, and that can take a couple weeks. Like, our wedding's in December, and I called the lady and I was like, hey, I just want to come in and get my wedding dress altered. She was like, when's your December? Oh my god. She said, when is your wedding? And I told her, and she's like, okay, can you bring it in like soon? And I was like, oh, she was like, October. And so I told her like the 28th, I think I'd said, and she was like, oh no, we need to do it like the beginning of October. And I was like, what? So I have no idea when I'm even supposed to pick this thing up, but we're gonna hope it's in November. But I just think the whole wedding planning for ghettos is insane, and like, no one tells you this stuff. They don't talk about it like that, and if they do, it's on social media and it's highlighted, and it's, I'm like, oh my god, it was the best day ever, which, guilty as charged, I did the same thing. But like, we don't talk about like what it's actually like and what the actual experience is like. Pick out a wedding dress and like go through all of the motions, and is it really as emotional as they make it in the wedding, or is it just a, yeah, this is the one, like when you pick out every other dress? And it always seems like it should be a super big deal because, well, it's your wedding, but it doesn't have to be. You're happy with the dress, you love it, that's perfect, that's all we need, you know? So anyway, I just want to leave you guys with that. But we are going to be living it up in Nashville. We will get the debrief maybe next week. I don't know yet for sure if we're going to have time or not, but I will get that out ASAP. Something from last week's episode, we got a comment, and Rachel had said about being a ghetto. Rachel said, oh my god, I understand this video. I get told I'm irrational when I'm angry or upset, but boys are just expressing their emotions. Yes. Do you know how frustrating that is? That like, we get told we're angry and emotional and we're irrational and like we're this, we're that, but boys get told like, oh, they're just saying how they feel. Like, that's so fucking annoying. You guys need to leave comments and questions in the future so that we can talk about these and debrief all of our situations. So, yeah. But I remember I asked you guys for an example. Like, that is literally a perfect example on why. And then they wonder why women don't want to talk about their feelings or go into their emotions. And it's like, well, you just called me irrational when I was upset or angry over something. But, like, if he does it, it's fine. And he's just telling you how he felt. Like, that's so fucking annoying.
Hey, pod! Oh, us podding would be so funny. I don't think you'd have any content to use.
No.
Rachel was saying hi to the pod, everybody. So yeah, we'll have to get an episode with her. But that's how I feel about wedding dress shopping. It's not spoke about enough as it should be. But anyways, I love you, honeys, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye, honeys.